Hey, what's happening? What's happening, y'all? This is Righteous Ron, better known as DJ Ron, the classic DJ from the Bay, coming at you again with another video in the series, The Dilemma of a Good One. All right. So look, I appreciate you for watching this video. Make sure you watch it all the way through. The title of this one is The Catch with Butterfingers. You know what I'm saying? I used to hate the saying to catch flights, but not feelings. You understand what I'm saying? A popular song from the Bay Area where I'm from, Richmond, California to be exact, Bay Area, California is the area I'm talking about, was called Cupcake No Feeling. You understand what I'm saying? I used to hate playing that song, but I gotta admit that it was a hype song. Everybody loved it. They used to just drop the beat and let the crowd sing along to it. You understand what I'm saying? But I was so glad when songs like Boo'd Up by LMI came around, you know what I mean, and hear the ladies singing that feelings and all of that kind of stuff. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. You know what I mean? Some say it's an art, some say it's a shame, but becoming the catch, that's the name of this game that I'm going to talk about. All right. All right. So me, myself, I'm here's a word for a lot of people that y'all have not heard before, but to y'all, those that have, as soon as I said, you're going to know what it means. But if not, I'm going to put the definition right here, and that's demisexual, meaning that I have to have a connection with a person before I can even call myself getting close to him or whatever. You get what I'm saying? Before I get into bed with any young lady, you know what I mean, there has to be some type of a connection with her. You know what I mean? So a lot of y'all, the word sapiosexual has been going around. That's probably the most popular used one. And I'm that too. You know what I mean? I need somebody who's going to be a little intelligent. You know, you got to have some intelligence about yourself. And we're going to get into that in just a minute. You know what I'm saying? But I'm a demisexual. I've gradually grown into being that way. And I learned the word not too long ago and say, yep, that's exactly what it is for me. And for you, that might be the same thing too. So it's good to know. But the thing about it though, there's some challenges with that. And I like to talk about some of those challenges now. First of all, when you're challenged with that, you have a preconceived love, or should I say, like. Me personally, I'm instantly in like with someone based on the criteria that I have. So therefore, I've created more criteria over time. I put a list of characteristics together, the things and the qualities that I want in my mate. You understand what I'm saying? With the person that I get with. You know what I mean? These characters are based on 3 different categories, and then there's a list of things that go under these. You know what I'm saying? But I just stick with the main. I'm not going to give up my list, because the challenge about it, particularly when you want to share with somebody else, is that oftentimes you'll find people trying to cater to what they feel that you want based on what you told them that you want. And to me, that's not genuine. It doesn't work for me. As a matter of fact, I can see through it oftentimes. You understand what I'm saying? And that's when the Butterfingers part come in. All right, we're gonna talk about that in just a moment. So first of all, there's the physical, right? That's where it always happens. You understand what I'm saying? Me, myself, I wish I could say I was yoked with abs and everything else. No. But as I said before, though, just like Biggie said, heart thought never, dark and ugly as ever. Well, I'm not that. I'm not subscribing to that channel. Understand what I'm saying? But what I will say, though, where I can get with him is when he said, however, I stay Gucci down to the socks. Now, I don't wear Gucci, not like, well, I got a Gucci watch band, but that's beside the point. My point is, me, myself, I've always dressed nice. I'm talking about ever since elementary school, all the way up until now. It may be to a detriment to a certain extent, but at the same time, though, the only time you'll catch me looking bummy is if I'm doing some kind of work that needed to be done, and or I'm just do something on, just go do something or whatever, you know what I mean? But for the most part, 97 times out of 100, you know, when you see me, I'm gonna have it on. All right. Same thing with the ladies. You understand what I'm saying? There's a certain thing that attracts me, and then no matter how beautiful you are, it's how you wear it. You know what I mean? So ladies, you want to keep that in mind, that you always want to be able to present yourself. And even if it's on one of them days when you look a little bit bummy, it's your attitude that can make a big difference as far as how that situation comes or how that situation goes. You know what I mean? Always be approachable. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're taken, you know what I mean? You could be approachable, you could smile, you could be taken. And at the same time, you'll have that man walking away saying like, man, you know, whoever she's with, they got themselves a good one. Which brings me to my next thing. I've already touched on it already, but the mental, you know what I mean? Fellas, ask yourself, what's their mind state? Ladies, ask yourself, what's his mind state? You know what I mean? How do they talk? What kind of things are coming out of their mouth? What do they say about other people when they're talking? You know what I mean? And then lastly, the then these two go together, but what kind of music do they predominantly listen to, and what kind of TV shows do they watch? And you could ask this question just casually in the conversation. You know what I mean? What was you listening to when you got out the vehicle? What was the last song you was listening to? You understand what I'm saying? What's your favorite TV show? And it may or may not, it should tell you a lot. More often than not, it will tell you a lot. You know what I mean? I used to want to become Facebook friends with people I just met. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I got your phone number, but I also want your Facebook handle too. That way, I can not only see, it's not just about me seeing how you react or how you act in a public atmosphere. And yeah, I know social media is not generally public. However, you can learn a lot about people, I think, from Facebook by what they do and what they don't do. But they also get a chance to see how I am. So there's a lot of young ladies who became Facebook friend zoned. And yeah, that's just what it was. You know what I mean? Perhaps there was something that I didn't see or whatnot, or I saw that I just didn't want to pursue it just that more. You know what I mean? But me personally, though, I want a lady that is so mentally together that people can't help but to say good things about her. You understand what I'm saying? That's just me, though. That's what I look for. And I try to be that way as well. That's why I said being the catch is important in order to get the catch, if that makes sense. All right. So just want to make sure I didn't miss out anything here. But the public arena is very important because I want to be represented, and I want to represent her well as well. The last point is spiritual. Are they a believer or not? We all should want someone that's good in our life. Notice how the word good is spelled with this particular podcast. It has God in it. GOD is in the word good. You understand what I'm saying? So I believe that that's very important. As a matter of fact, I know that it's very important. Now, where you are with your spiritual life and everything else, that's up to you. However, the foundation of it all makes a big difference in how the structure is going to be built, if that makes sense. All right. And I'll just give you a quick story, though. I remember back in the days, based on that criteria, my mama used to say that, if she give it up on the first night, then she ain't going to be no good for you. Man, I met this one, though. I was 19. She was 25. Bad, thicker than a Snicker, fine as she wanted to be, you know what I mean, and everything else. And yep, hit it the first night. You understand what I'm saying? And I felt instantly in like with her. I use the word like, not because of the sex that was involved, but more so because she fit the criteria. She was a lot of what I wanted at that particular time. I knew what I liked. I wanted my work. I wanted the ladies to be fine and thick and everything else. And she was that. Like, for real, she was that. So we got together another time, and then, I remember trying to call her. We were supposed to link up, and I remember calling, and this is going to mess you up. But I remember a dude answering the phone, and he said, no, I think tomorrow's your turn. Click, and hung up the phone. Man, one of the coldest things I've ever heard. You understand what I'm saying? But guess what? She wasn't in church. Nothing like that. I'm not saying that's the reason why she did it, but what I'm saying is, ladies in church, men in church typically have morals about themselves. They typically conduct themselves in a different way. So that's why I had to put that category there. You know what I mean? Spiritually, I don't know if it has to go that deep for you, but you understand what I'm saying. It helps to put a moral code there that both of y'all can work off of. You understand? That moral code coming from the Bible. That's for the believer. That's for the believers. Now, if you're a non-believer, I'm just going to say the trek is just a little bit harder for you. You know what I mean? Get your snow chains ready because the road is going to be slippery and icy and everything else. All right? So here's the next point. Put yourself a list together. What are the qualities or the characteristics that you want in him or her? All right. Based on these characteristics, whether you're single or not, you can reference these things. Let me just break it down like this. For my single people, for my single folks, my suggestion is that you make your list, right? As long as you want it to be, as long as you need to be, no more than 50 different steps, though. You know what I mean? Even some of them can complement one another and everything else. But 50. And read it every morning or meditate it all night. Whichever one is more convenient for you. If you miss the morning, you can always come back to the night. But make sure you don't go to bed without reading that list at least once a day, probably for the next 3 months. Let's give it 3 months. That way you lock it in. You know what I mean? It's almost like that new song that you hear. You want to learn. The more you listen to it, you're going to learn the lyrics to it. You understand what I'm saying? So that way, when you hear the song, you'll know the words. Likewise, when you come across a him or her, you'll have an idea of what it is that you want. You understand what I'm saying? You know how the song should go. Does that make sense? But remember this, though. Remember this. No one is going to check all the boxes. You understand what I'm saying? If they do, you might want to might want to relist your list. You know what I mean? Remember, there's nobody that's perfect. I can't help the sun like how it's going on here, but let's just keep it going. Let's keep it going. And nobody's going to be perfect. All right. So that's very important. I was watching an episode of Pop the Balloon. I believe it's episode 37. It's called Nobody's Perfect. There was one young lady on there who was deeply rooted in church. You could tell by the first guy that she went up to, she made it all the way to the end and then got there. And there was one thing that the dude said or didn't say, and pow, she popped the balloon. Second time around, second guy comes out, same thing. She got almost there and then just looking and pop. And that's why I titled it Nobody's Perfect. Check my reaction video. You know what I mean? I put the link in the comments. Episode 37, Nobody's Perfect. And she ended up not linking up with nobody on that. I hate to give you that, you know what I'm saying? But there's many more women and there's a lot of men as well, though. But she ended up because her list was too perfect to where she wanted somebody perfect. And remember, nobody's perfect. All right. Brings me to the next thing. For my people who are involved. This is for my people who are involved, meaning not married. You're seeing somebody. You're not necessarily single, but remember, I believe that if you're single unless you're married, all right? Get acclimated with your list as well and go through it with a fine-tooth comb. Like, go through it, right? Remembering, again, no one is perfect. But I suggest that if you feel that you could be vulnerable enough to share with your mate, share with him, share with her, and see what can we work on, you know what I mean? Highlight the things that you like about that person, but at the same time, point out the things that you like to see them work on if it's something that you can deal with. Meaning, it's not a deal breaker. Well, if they don't fix it, then but sometimes there are, if you're a smoker and they're not, well, let me rephrase, let me flip that. If you're not a smoker and they are, and the smoke is truly bothering you, this may be something we want to work on. You know what I mean? If they drink it too much, a little bit or whatever, maybe something to work on and be willing to help them out. But at the same time, encourage the feedback, because I'm sure that you're not perfect neither, right? So let's see what we could do. The key to working on it is remembering that together y'all could be stronger. You understand what I'm saying? Y'all can work on it together and y'all can become stronger. And lastly, for my married people, y'all should be able to talk it over conveniently. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it should be done, it should be easy to approach one another and just express yourself, in a good way, though, in the right way. You know what I mean? The book of Matthew says if there's anything that bothers you about somebody, you should go to that person and talk to them. If you can't do it in marriage, then I'm encouraging you to listen to what I'm about to say. If they hear you, you will gain, in this case, more love from your husband or from your wife. You know what I mean? The Bible says from your sister, your brother, but your husband and your wife, particularly if y'all in church. Remember, it's a spiritual. We talk about the spiritual aspect of it as well. And if you're not a believer, if you're not in church, this podcast may not be for you. However, the principles are still there. You know what I mean? Just like Christians can read the Quran, but not necessarily subscribe to it because they're still Christian, but the principles are there. Even, I think Buddhism has some great principles. Confucius says some good things. All right, let's get back to it. So, if they don't hear you though, you know what I mean? And this is really bothering you, maybe find a married couple in the church that's been, got some years on y'all. Y'all been married for 6 years. They've been married for 30 years. They probably have some things they can share with y'all, probably stuff that they observe. Remember, people on the outside actually usually see y'all better than y'all see yourselves, or can see y'all better than y'all see yourselves, or point out some things that you didn't see in yourselves. Okay? So go to them. And then lastly, talk to your pastor. You know what I mean? If that doesn't necessarily work out all the way, talk to your pastor. Prayerfully, it's a pastor that you trust. You got your trust in him, and you could talk to them without getting shot at from the pulpit and everything else. You understand what I'm saying? So try it. I believe that it will work for you. You know what I mean? The last point I want to make, and I started off with this, is to catch feelings with Butterfingers. Be the catch so you can get the catch, but do it with Butterfingers. Oftentimes they say, when you meet a person, you don't meet them, you meet their representative. And that, if that's the case, if they could come across a certain way or whatnot, and they putting on, be willing to let it go. Be willing to let them go. You know what I mean? Regardless of how you felt and what it looked like and everything else, it's not easy, but be willing to let it go. Walk away from anything that's not good for you. You know what I mean? And it's not going to be good for you too. You know what I mean? It may have been good to you, but it's not good for you. Let go and let God. You understand what I'm saying? Again, I'm talking to my Christian folk, to my believers. Let go and let God. He has somebody out here for each and everybody. You know what I mean? There's one man for one woman for each and everybody. We just have to be receptive to what it is that he has for you. Pray about it and let God do what he do. So I appreciate you for making it, especially if you made it this far. just want to share experiences and just love and just bring more unity into the community. So until the next one, I just want to remind you that it's always good to be good, and as always, God bless.